Bluebirdplays here with Tretty, and
Hi.
we will be playing the visual novel Ambre.
If you can play a book.
Yes, you can. And we're gonna see what all happens in this game. Um, do I not have the volume on for Ambre?
I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't be able to hear it anyway. I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna read, because you get to play a game, I get to read a book.
Reading books is fun. Oh, there
Why
it
is
is.
this little girl just blinking at me?
So you don't hear any sound at all, it's just me.
I hear nothing. I just hear your voice and this little girl's eyes piercing into my soul.
Aw, the sound is so good though. Alright, let's go ahead and start. See what happens.
I'm
Hopefully
afraid.
you can read the text. It's English.
Inglés. It was 7 p.m. On that beautiful yet cold autumn day. The wind shook the frail tree's branches across the street. Tristan Mallory made his slow, tired way. A whirlwind of leaves caught his attention, and he stopped to contemplate them for a few minutes. A spray of colors danced around him. Fragments of reds, oranges, yellows spread at random, forming a mosaic that stretched on for as far as the eye could see, endlessly. It was a rare beauty in that gray and fuming city, in that noisy metropolis constantly exhaling bad air. Coming back to his senses, a 30-year-old man shook his head. Now wasn't the time to be daydreaming. He had to go home. A long day weighed on his shoulders, but, if he was honest with himself, work wasn't the most tiring thing in his life. Since honest, well-paid work was somewhat of a luxury these days, like any model employee, he consciously accomplished every task handed to him, and did no more or less than what was asked. No, what was destroying him was a completely different form of fatigue, an appalling and crushing solitude that had been shadowing him for years, ever since his wife... The light tinkle of the front door opening brought him back to earth. He was already at his flat. A sad and mute living room sat waiting for him in morbid silence. Goosebumps traveled down his spine as he entered the room. Driven by desperation, he didn't even take the time to hang his coat correctly, but began slamming all of the doors, one after the other. Each time, the same emptiness answered his pleads. He felt a rising dread within. His last hope was the last door in the forbidden room beyond. He opened it slightly and peeked inside. Of course, there was no one. He fell heavily onto the sofa. The crushing solitude came back in full force, crushing him again and again, wounding his face with invisible cuts. The cuts of time. It was happening again. All of a sudden, Tristan Mallory felt exhausted. He held his hand in his hands and stared at the floor for long minutes. Then, after what felt like an eternity, he got to his feet. He moved to gather all of the framed pictures that had been on the furniture and stowed them away in a closet. They needed to be out of sight. When he was sure that there were no more pictures to put away, Tristan put his coat back on and went outside. It was cool, a bit dark, but there was still enough light to see by. It was the ideal time to take a walk. At least, that's what he would have thought. As he hurried along the sidewalk, the 30-year-old man was anything but relaxed. Nervously, he walked around her most familiar places, looking for a serenity that seemed to be out of reach. While passing a park near his home, he heard a high-pitched, almost inaudible plea. His heart jumped, and he stopped. In the dim light of the setting sun, he made out the silhouette of a little girl sitting on a swing with her head bowed. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Afraid of startling her, he made his way towards her slowly and looked at her. Her clothes were crumpled, she had neither coat nor scarf, and there were scratches on her hand and arms, as if she had been in a fight. The park was completely deserted, and she seemed to have been there for a while. For a second, Tristan Mallory felt the urge to leave her there, to whatever fate lay in store for her, but then he mentally chastised himself. He couldn't do that to a child. So he knelt in front of her, and he asked in a soft voice, "Is something wrong?" At first, the little girl seemed not to hear him. She choked on her sobs, hiccuped, and shuddered. Slowly, Tristan Mallory stroked her hair and repeated, "Why are you crying? What happened?" It took long minutes for her to calm down enough to speak, but eventually, with a faint voice interrupted by sobs, she wiped away at her tears and answered him. "Get away from me, pedophile." What is it with these long minutes? Why always long minutes? The minutes are 60 seconds.
60
There's no such thing as
seconds
a
is a
long
long
minute.
time. 60 seconds is a very long time. Come on.
It's no longer than 2 half minutes.
That is plenty of time. Anyway. I don't know. I think I've lost something important. Really important. But I can't remember what it was.
Tristan Mallory sighed, feeling a mixture of compassion and pity. She seemed so lost, so vulnerable. Jackpot. He wanted to hold her so tightly. Giggity. What's your name?
Ambre?
Well, Ambre, you can't stay out here in the wind or you're going to catch a cold. You don't want to get sick, do you?
No. I hate being sick.
See? You've got to go warm yourself up somewhere. The night's getting close.
But I don't know where to go.
In that case, what do you think about going over to my place? It's not far away from here, and it'll make a much better sleeping place than the swing. Ambre seemed wary at first, but she had no other choice but to follow him. He gently reached a hand to her, and for the first time, she lifted her eyes. Her cold, dead, soul-piercing eyes. And then Tristan was a grue. They were washed out, blurry with tears and hesitant. He thought it was a good idea to show her a smiling face, to appear to be a reassured adult. Even with the fatigue, he caught her fine and frail hand and helped her get to her feet. The young girl's steps were wobbly and weak. She'd probably not eaten all day long. He held her hand, making sure she wouldn't trip. The 30-year-old man removed his coat and shut the door behind him. "Sit on the couch, it's time for your tryout." "Make yourself at home, I'll cook you something." Passing through the kitchen, he turned on the light in the living room so his flat would look less gloomy. While roaming through his fridge, looking for a good meal idea, he stole several glances over the counter. In the living room, Ambre was still walking around, a bit wild, still on the defensive. She's toit like a toiga, like a caged toiga, prowling. Row. Row.
I want to leave all this stuff in here.
Are you just recording entire novels, or are you going to be doing, like, a clip show?
I'm gonna do the entire thing, man.
Motherfucker.
This one's short. It's like 2 hours.
Motherfucker.
And it goes by faster when there's someone else recording it.
Motherfucker.
You'll be fine.
No, hold on. You're gonna be turning these into audiobooks? Like, why are you
They
recording?
won't be audiobooks, they'll be Let's Plays. I know what happens, but you don't. There we go. There's a surprise right there.
Elisa, these are books.
They are games.
These are reading material.
They are games. They are kinetic novels.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
The Xbox 360 is kinetic. Its device is the Kinect. This is a
That's
book.
the Kinect. This is kinetic.
Okay, so you had IC, and yes, we're in character for this, but it's still Kinect. Ick.
It's an interactive novel. Not really, though. Like, this is kinetic, really.
It's a book!
It is not a book.
It's a moving picture book.
Moving picture book game. Moving picture game.
Am I going to be able to make choices to influence the ending of this game?
Not this one
It's
in
a
particular.
book. It's a book. If it were choose your own adventure, yes, I would understand. It's a book. It is a novel. I may as well be sitting here reading
It's a visual novel.
I may as well be sitting here reading the Gold Compass. She explored this new environment by looking around, admiring the ornaments. She didn't find much to pique her interest. It was a bland house, almost too bland. There were no clues about the occupants' lives. Taking advantage of Tristan's being distracted by a packet of noodles, she escaped to the hallway and tried to find the bathroom. She found it quickly enough before returning to the hallway. Then she noticed that all of the doors were open wide, except for one. She was drawn to that doorway before she even had time to think. This is where I keep my waifu. Intrigued, Ambre felt magnetically attracted by the slightly open door. Just one peek was all she wanted, but she couldn't see anything through the crack. Was this Bluebeard's cabinet? A frightening tomb where Tristan Mallory stored the corpses of his former wives? The little girl pushed the door open, entered the room, and switched the light on. Eaten by Gru. No. Only slightly less disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bedroom with soft cushions filled with plushes. A big bed proudly throned in the center of the room was accompanied by a pretty dressing table to one side. The walls were painted to look like a bright blue sky. The storage furniture, coordinated with the sweet colors of trinkets, were overflowing with mysteries. On the nightstand, she could catch a glimpse of a nightlight shaped as a cute mascot. There was a fairy-like ambiance about this strange room, so that Ambre couldn't repress a little exclamation of surprise. Whee! Closing the door so that the 30-year-old wouldn't discover her hiding spot, she stretched out on the colorful bed, rolled into a ball, and jumped about and snuck under the bed sheets. For an inexplicable reason, she felt very at ease in this room worthy of a princess. It seemed to have been built for her, to correspond to her every fantasy. Then she noticed a big teddy bear which seemed to stare at her. Immediately she grabbed it, hugged it, and covered it with kisses. Her pale face was illuminated by a wide, pure, innocent smile, a child's smile. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Tristan Mallory was finished cooking the noodles. He was about to serve the meal when he noted the absence of the little girl. Slightly worried, he called for her. Ambre! Ambre! Where are you? Nervous, he looked after her in all the rooms, checking to see if she was in the bathroom. He searched everywhere in the house until there were only... The entry door makes some weird noises when it's opened. I would have heard it if she left. Can she be in there? Already? With a contrite sigh, he headed towards the forbidden room and found Ambre playing with the stuffed animals. And then we take over Italy, and then the world. What say you, Mr. Mew? Oh. Agreed. We take Russia second. His gaze softened. I suppose I can't do anything, he thought to reassure himself. Without a word, he went to sit next to her. On the bed, the little girl moved the stuffed animal's hands while making them speak. In her weak voice, she was narrating a stuffed animal tea party and seemed to be enjoying herself. The light was back in her eyes. Suddenly, she got mad at a plump cow and scolded her harshly. You can't take Russia in the winter. What are you thinking about?
I'm just gonna imagine that's exactly what she said. Ah, heck with this.
You will lose all of your army. You will run out of food. We cannot supply it into Moscow. 9. And don't roll about in Italy. They are filthy, filthy people who smell of garlic. As punishment, she sent the cow to sit in a corner, ordering her not to move before replacing her with a pony with long eyelashes. You will follow the motherland. The stuffed animal tea party hosted by the Blue Monkey was obviously not going as planned. The 30-year-old man eyed the little girl's every move with care. She finally noticed his presence. He felt he had to speak. Are you having fun?
Yeah. I didn't know that there was a bedroom like this in your house. Whose room is it?
Mine. It was my wife's favorite room before she left.
What happened to her?
It's a long story. Maybe I'll tell you another time. Meanwhile, the meal is getting colder. Do you want to eat?
Of course. What do we eat?
Bolognese sauce with pasta.
Great. I love it.
How do you know? You don't even know your name. Oh wait, you do know your name. You know your name and that you like Italian.
Can't go wrong with Italian.
You can.
Sometimes.
You know, but very, very easily. There are people who confuse clove with bulb. So 3 cloves of garlic instantly becomes 3 bulbs of garlic. They say there's no such thing as too much garlic. These people find it. These people find too much garlic. That evening, Tristan Mallory admired Ambre as she wolfed down her food. He felt half amused, half distracted. Seeing her so happy soothed his heart a little bit, but at the same time...
Are you tired?
The child asked suddenly, with a serious air. A little. I worked hard today. She said nothing. Still amazed by the princess's bedroom, she revived the topic with starry eyes. Do you like it?
Yeah, a lot. I wish I had a similar room.
If you want, I'll give it to you.
Really?
My wife left a long time ago. Her stuff is still inside and I don't use it. So, if you like, it's yours. You can stay in her room while I'm looking for your parents and what you lost. What do you say?
Can I Really? But it doesn't belong to me.
There's nothing sadder than a house without a life, isn't it? I know that my wife loved to rest in her favorite room. There she felt at ease, like on a cloud. But now, she's not living here anymore. You seem to like this place, so I think it would make her happy to know that her bedroom is in good hands.
And I can do whatever I want in it?
You can't take the Lord's name in vain. While I'm at work, you'll be able to play in the room as much as you want. I'll leave you some leftovers for the lunch. You'll only have to heat them up in the microwave. And in the evening, we'll play together if you'd like to.
Do I need to go to school?
No more school. Only games. And this is how Joseph Fritzl hosted his little basement party. You know, with his wife and his daughter and their daughters.
Yay! Great then.
I want you to try that again. No, in front of Ambre's ever-flowing enthusiasm, Tristan Mallory couldn't help but smile faintly, almost pitifully. Yes, that's it indeed, he kept telling himself, as if to reassure himself. All I'm doing is keeping her around until she remembers who she is and what she's lost. Waiting for her to remember.
To be continued.